We're continuing to do our offseason outlook for all 20 teams in the Ontario Hockey League. We're almost at the end of this series, and now we've made it to the teams that were eliminated in the conference final. Today, let's start off with the Kitchener Rangers. They're a team that's been defying gravity these last few seasons under UC Ahokas on the bench, and it's been an exciting product with the Kitchener Rangers. Obviously, this is a team that many thought would rebuild coming into this year after trading away Carson Rakoff to the Brampton Steelheads, but that wasn't the case. This team just continued to find ways to get wins despite a bit of a slow start to the regular season. The flu bug kind of disrupted the start of the year, but after that, this team was lights out, and they had a record of 47, 15, 4, and 2, good for 100 points. Despite reaching the century mark, they were still second in the Midwest Division behind the London Knights. But this is a team over the last 4 seasons that has been getting better and better. And you have to give credit to UC Ahokas and Mike McKenzie, just what they've been able to achieve with this organization, defying all the predictions that said maybe this team would compete for a playoff spot, maybe they'd be battling for home ice, when in fact, these last 2 seasons, they had home ice advantage in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. So not too bad here for the Rangers. But the only thing is, it's the London Knights who have been the problem for Kitchener. This past year, knocked out by the Knights in the Western Conference Final. In 2023-24, when they had 86 points, it was a second-round exit again against the London Knights. And also in 22-23, they had a 72-point season. They swept the Windsor Spitfires in the first round. Remember, Kitchener was the 8th seed and Windsor was the number 1. But again, knocked out by the London Knights in the second round. Although in 2021-22, Kitchener upset London in the first round in 7 games, but then were eliminated by the Windsor Spitfires in the second round. But if you look at the point total, so 67 points in 2022, 72 in 23, 86 points in 2024, and now 100 points in 2025. Is this the peak for the Rangers, or will we continue to see some growth and development towards that 2027 Memorial Cup run that all indications are they're going to put in a bid to host that tournament when it's the OHL's turn next? Now, looking at the top scorers from the playoffs, we'll look at the top 10 scorers. Luke Alanis, he led the way, 8 goals, 8 assists, 16 points. Trent Swick, second in scoring, 7 goals, 7 assists, 14 points. Jack Pridham, who joined them from the BCHL, 7 goals, 6 assists, 13 points. Luca Romano had a great run with Kitchener this past season, 4th in scoring, 6 goals, 5 assists, 11 points. 5th in scoring was Christian Humphreys, 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points. Tanner Lamb, 6th with 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points. Jakub Kromiak, who they acquired early in the season from the Kingston Frontenacs, a goal and 7 assists, 8 points. And I feel like Kromiak was a great pickup, kind of, it was an under the radar kind of trade, but man, he fit in quite nicely with the Kitchener Rangers. And then Andrew Vermeulen, who they acquired from Niagara, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. Cameron Arquette, the first-year player, a goal, 4 assists, 5 points. And Cameron Reed rounded out the top 10 in scoring with 5 assists. Now, because there was 2 extra picks in the OHL priority selection for 2025, Kitchener didn't pick until the 22nd overall, and that's where they went with Kane Barch in the first round. He had a pretty good run last season with the Huron-Perth Lakers, 23 goals, 36 assists, 59 points in 30 games. So it looks like Barch will probably fit in quite nicely with this lineup, bringing that scoring depth, which this team's going to want over the next 2 years. Looking at the overage candidates for Kitchener going into next season, not too many to choose from here. Remember, this is a team that was kind of going a little younger going into the 24-25 regular season. So starting out the forward options, Cameron Mercer, he'd be a great overage candidate. Jack Pridham, he's a 2005 born, but he's also committed to Boston University, so he'll be moving on next season. Chris Grisolia, who they acquired from the Barrie Colts, he's an overage candidate for next year. And then on the blue line, you have Jakub Kromiak. He's an import, but they're now allowed 3 import players on the roster starting next season, so bring back Kromiak potentially as an OA. And then Matthew Andonovski, he's an Ottawa Senators prospect, also signed with the Sens. I almost wonder if he'll stick around with maybe the Belleville Senators next season. So out of those options, you could go with Mercer, Grisolia, and Kromiak. Not too bad there, although goaltending is going to be a question mark because, I already mentioned that UC Ahokas, you can give him credit for the systems that made this team competitive and everyone bought into it. But Jackson Parsons had some amazing seasons in net for the Kitchener Rangers. And of course, this past season, he was an overager, so he's going to graduate. So that means, what do the Rangers do when it comes to goaltending? I think that's the big question going into next season. Do you go with Jason Schaubel and Owen Edward? Are they going to be steady enough to be your goaltending tandem? Or do you look to bring in a goaltender through the import draft? Or do you trade for a veteran goaltender? I think for the Kitchener Rangers, I wouldn't be surprised if they make a move to bring in a veteran goaltender to help Schobel and Edwards as they get used to this, the Ontario Hockey League. Although Schobel, in his showings during the regular season in relief for Parsons, looked not too bad. But still, that's an area that I wonder if maybe Kitchener will look to address during this offseason. Now, the other big thing here for Kitchener is Adam Valentini. Remember at the start of last year, they acquired his rights from the Brampton Steelheads. He ended up playing for the Chicago Steel of the USHL. Indications are Valentini could join the Rangers this upcoming season. Of course, it's his draft year, so he's going to want to be on full display, maybe playing the top 6 for the Kitchener Rangers. And also, it kind of aligns with him being on the roster for the 2027 season when they could potentially be the host of a Memorial Cup. So keep an eye on Valentini. I think he would fit in quite nicely as well with the Rangers. And that's why I feel like Kitchener, I don't think they're going to have a drop-off next year. I think they could contend once again for top spot in the Midwest Division. London's got a lot of graduating players, but with the Knights, they're competitive year in, year out. But it's who can get that advantage. And I feel as though with Kitchener, maybe they'll just continue this momentum. If they have another 100-point season, typically 100 points wins you a division. And maybe that's where the Kitchener Rangers are at next season. Time will tell, but I do like the look of this team. And just keep in mind, we're going to hear probably early next season who will be bidding on the 2027 Memorial Cup. Kitchener has been long rumored to be there. The Niagara Ice Dogs, before their situation off ice happened, they were rumored to be another team looking to bid. But it all sounds like Kitchener's the front runner when it comes to the 2027 Memorial Cup. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be a storyline to also follow next year, as I usually will find out when the OHL is going to have their host team probably in the new year. So in early 2026, we'll find out who will be the hosts for the Ontario Hockey League next time it comes around. But I do like the look of this team. Like I said, they've been exceeding expectations these last 2 seasons. And I think for the Ranger fans, it could be in for another fun season ahead. So if you're a fan of Kitchener, let me know in the comments below your thoughts on this team going forward. Do you expect this team to be competitive next year, or maybe they'll sell off some assets, bring in some young players for that push in 2027? We've seen teams do that in the past. Think of the Saginaw Spirit before the year they hosted the Memorial Cup. They did a bit of a sell-off before going all in their host year. So Kitchener could take that approach as well. Time will tell. It's exciting times down at the Odd. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon.